For me, there's a simple rule in politics. Never, ever be surprised by what happens in politics.
The face of truth is open. The eyes of truth are bright. The lips of truth are ever closed. The head of truth is upright. The breast of truth stands forward. The gaze of truth is straight. Truth has neither fear nor doubt. Truth has patience to wait. The words of truth are touching. The voice of truth is deep. The law of truth is simple. All you sow, you reap. The soul of truth is flaming. The heart of truth is warm. The mind of truth is clear and firm through rain and storm. Facts are only its shadow. Truth stands above all sin. Great be the battle of life. Truth in the end shall win. The image of truth is the cross. Wisdom's message is its rod. The sign of truth is Christ, and the soul of truth is God. Life of truth is eternal. Immortal is its past. Power of truth shall endure. Truth shall hold to the last.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe. Our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living room. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crying in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
Well, a decade after it was introduced in St. Lucia, VAT is still a hot button issue on the island as we continue to hear the politicians argue over whether it should remain at 12.5% or whether it should be increased or reviewed, as is being suggested by the governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank. Also, the debate whether the economy grew in 2021 by some 12.2%. Depending on who you speak to, depending on their political allegiance, well, they will either give credence to this coming from the International Monetary Fund, or they will be in denial. We have a whole lot of subjects to discuss on our broadcast this afternoon, and very often you determine the trend when you call at 452-2979, 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. Our NewsSpin Facebook question of the day: what impact would an increase in the VAT rate have on the Philip J. Pierre administration? What impact would an increase in the VAT rate have on the Philip J. Pierre government? Because, as I said earlier on, the governor of the ECCB is calling for a review. All indications are he's suggesting that it's just too low at 12.5%, needs to be increased. St. Lucia is the last country of the Caribbean community to introduce VAT in October of 2012, and now it has the lowest VAT rate. But we all know there would be political implications for the Philip J. Pierre administration if he decides even to increase the VAT from 12.5% to 13%. Far less if he decides to increase it to the original rate of 15%. Because naturally, people do not like taxes to be increased, particularly in certain environments, as is the case right now. all and sundry, whether they are supporters of party A or B or do not support any political party in St. Lucia, don't care anything about politics, will tell you life is tough in St. Lucia. And I know somebody will say, not only in St. Lucia, around the world, we can cope. But let's look at it from the St. Lucia perspective. And I get a sense that people are suffering. But, you know, we are people, we are very proud. And we do not like to show when and demonstrate that things are going bad in our lives. That we are hurting. That we are a lot poorer than we were a few months or a few years ago. And people suffer in silence. And maybe that is what a lot of us are going through right now in this country. Unfortunately, we're getting a lukewarm response from the government of the day, because if you exhibited so much energy and exuberance in getting the previous administration out of office, when you get in, you should be pursuing various measures with the same zeal to ensure that you improve the lives of the people. I remember it was just about, 2 Sundays ago, when you had this church service at Marchand to commemorate the 25th anniversary of Philip J. Pierre and Dr. Kenny Anthony as MPs for the respective constituencies. The Prime Minister, Mr. Pierre, said that the thing he likes about providing representation to the people of Castries East and politics in general is that you seek to improve the lives of the people. And it is one thing from the perspective of your constituents, if they believe that you have been doing a magnificent job and therefore they have elected you into office to serve as the MP from 1997 up until now, it's a totally different kettle of fish. When you have to preside over the affairs of a country, and that is a real challenge for the Prime Minister in particular, deciding whether to increase VAT or not, because we all know of the implications, we all know of the domino effect. When you have those increases, they automatically will be passed on to the consumer. And the consumer will tell you that they are in need of an increase in salary, particularly those who are in the private sector. And economists will say as well that whenever there's an increase in inflation, you cannot match that with an increase in the salaries of the workers, because the employer automatically will pass on that increase to the consumer. So when will it end? And you have a number of people who are not employed, number of people who are indigent, and they will be impacted more than others. And so, again, the NewsSpin Facebook question of the day: what impact would an increase in VAT have on the Philip J. Pierre administration? Your responses: I think that will cost them everything. Hope it will cause a snap election. Another comment: it's kind of a tough call, especially with inflation and all. I guess they see it as generating more revenue, but you can't get blood from stone. The other person says, Tim, it will not cost them anything. That's putting you first. Shaking my head. The other one says, don't do it, Mr. PJP, Prime Minister. Few more comments. St. Lucians are taught to love misery and to hate progress and change. The only impact a VAT increase will have on the SLP government is the increased bulge in their pockets. A government who rules by raising taxes is a government that hates its people. St. Lucians, watch your bread. And we have 2 more comments. Increasing VAT now is like adding more white rum to Bounty and Coke. I don't think the government wants to play catchers with drunk people. And finally, nothing Lucians will accept out of shame. That will do it as far as your responses to our NewsSpin Facebook question of the day. What impact would an increase in VAT have on the Philip J. Pierre government? The question is, will the government between now and the next general election due in 2026 review the VAT rate and then decide to increase it. The Prime Minister addressed the issue yesterday, speaking with reporters ahead of the cabinet meeting.
You may recall when the last government went to the parliament with the VAT, we were strident in our opposition. That was a bad economic policy. We were strident. We made no bones about it. We were in opposition. We could have been opportunistic. We said no, it's a bad policy because we understood the implications of the VAT reduction. I'll tell you something. Ask any housewife whether she remembered whether there was any benefit for her in terms of food prices when VAT was reduced. The simple reason why most of the food items that the regular housewife uses are VAT exempt and zero VAT in. So it was bad policy. We told the government that. We understood there ought to be some sort of incentive for tourism. We agreed to that. And that is why we never put VAT on electricity, because we wanted to save tourism, we wanted to save the manufacturing industry. As I said, no, she has no VAT on electricity. But reducing the VAT was a bad policy, really bad policy. But I'm glad the central bank governor said it, so you understand it, and I wasn't wrong. I wasn't being a politician.
So does that mean
what it means is that we're going to look at the revenue implications and take a position that will benefit the people of St. Lucia.
So you look at the revenue implications and take a position that will be to the benefit of the people of St. Lucia. So he's not saying yes, he'll review it upwards, and he's not saying no. Let's open the lines to take your calls at 452-2979, 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages at 716-2026, 716-2026. In just a moment, former Prime Minister Alan Shasti will be defending his decision to reduce VAT from 15% to 12.2%. All right, let me see if we have any WhatsApp message. Apparently, women will start going astray because everything is increasing. It doesn't make sense to have a business now because Shopbox is overcharging people for items. We'll have to leave off seawater just now. This is ridiculous. I'm here at work and can't focus because things aren't getting any better. My gosh. Let's see if we have another message. Somebody says we must remember an increase affects the lower income people more than it would affect people of higher wages, and retailers will pass on the increase of VAT to consumers. This is scary for my people. Now, technocrats, people like the governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, they're not politicians, and they do not seek votes to be appointed to such positions. But politicians like Mr. Philip J. Pierre, and we have heard him say that he's good at playing the politics. He has to be extremely careful the decisions that he make because of the implications down the road. And politicians, every decision they take, whether in government or in opposition, they always weigh things to look at the possible political implications. And I don't think right now that people would have any kind of appetite for the government to increase the VAT rate. Very interesting to find out what our private sector entities are saying on this. Your Chamber of Commerce and various NGO groups, like women's organizations on the island, the likes of the National Youth Council, among any entities. Now, the government will tell you readily that, well, the stark reality is because of inflation, high food prices, and things of that nature, it is facing a serious shortfall in revenue. They are not back to their pre-COVID period. And you still have the wages to pay. You have to finance the operations of government. You have the health sector is in shambles. You have to find the money. You have to ensure that you give the police the equipment and the training to combat crime on the island. Where will the money come from? You need to be creative. You need to know what you are about as a government. And if you're going to look at it at the micro level, from the perspective of the home, how women, how those who manage homes, particularly women, how creative can they be in such circumstances? We have a WhatsApp call as we say hello and good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin. You are on the air.
Yeah, so it's like, good afternoon. It's like
Good afternoon.
some politicians, I don't know. Wasn't that the same set of politicians that were recently talking about helping the poorest of the poor? What does when you increase that? Yes, you say the impact of the 2 point something percent was hardly felt in the supermarket. It would add up to a few dollars. Isn't the what budget the poorest of the poor operating on? Not just a few dollars. It's like they say one thing and they do another. I don't know. Some politicians is like their digestive system working back to front, because what coming out of their mouth don't look like as if it's anything of substance. How are you gonna say you're the government of the people and come and raise tax when you know when you raise tax that passing on to the poorest of the poor? Because the rich hardly feel it, because if you're a millionaire and they cut your salary in half, you still have $500,000. But when you're operating on $10 and they cut your salary in half, that's $5. $10 was already not enough. So it's crazy how we're so concerned about the poorest of the poor, but yet still every action, our words, we're concerned about them, but every step we take is against the poorest of the poor. Anyway, that's my contribution.
Thank you so much for sharing it with us. We have another call. Somebody's rolling on. Good afternoon. NewsSpin, you are on the air.
Hello, Tim.
Hi, good afternoon, Rick.
Let me just correct something I heard a few days ago. I haven't been calling, just listening. That Alan Chasney was the first to resist the IMF or something to that effect.
I think so John Compton did that as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, so John Compton.
It's those reminders. John Compton actually had a line for that. The two male crabs can't live in the same hole. Remember that?
Yes.
We have to keep reminding ourselves of the history. We keep hearing people talking now about our history, and the only history they're talking about is such connection as we have to the Middle Passage and the slaves down there. But the more recent history that is in fact impacting our daily lives, we don't want to talk about that. We're looking for all kinds of heroes, some all kinds of books, and who may or may not have lived and all that kind of stuff, and putting it up for emancipation and so on. I'm not against that. But it seems to me, when you put up things, they're supposed to have an effect. Whatever you do you have to anticipate a positive impact, right?
Mm-hmm. And it must gel with what your reality of your circumstances right now.
Let me ask you quickly.
Mm.
What is the name of what are the names of the two slaves? I imagine they were just commemorated at emancipation. What are the names?
I think that's Petroville.
What?
There's a woman, right?
I'm asking you, Tim.
Yeah, Petroville. I think something of that nature.
What do you know about her?
I don't know much about her.
There's another guy too. Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, supposing the Prime Minister had put together an emancipation speech that had to do with slavery, that had to do with what we have not done for ourselves all those 300 years since then, etc., etc. Make it very emancipation themed, slavery ancestors themed, and say starting today, we're going to put an end to this not honoring our heroes. And I can think of no better name than the name of a man who sacrificed his life for two total strangers. A humble man, a very black-skinned man, all that's important these days, etc. And that man, you go into the details of how he jumped into that ocean to save two people. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, David John.
Kenneth John.
Yeah.
Now we can write a whole speech on emancipation with Kenneth John being the start of something good, eh?
Yeah, we can.
No?
Yeah, and I think more people alive right now will be able to identify with what he did.
And more people can relate to it.
Yeah.
When we talk about people who may or may not have lived, I don't know. I am far more impressed with the life I see in front of me, with exemplars currently alive or recently dead. And I suspect it would have far more effect on our young people, because everything now is our young people, to talk about John Compton one way or another, talk about Kenny Anthony, to talk about Derek Walker in ways that have not been talked about before. Because you can give a theme to any speech, Tim, and illustrate that theme with whatever figure you want. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to have somebody that may or may not have lived and say, well, it's emancipation, it's slaves on the Middle Passage and plantations or whatever. Derek Walcott can be your exemplar in a speech on emancipation,
Yeah, he can.
The same as we do about the little black boy. And I would like to say, by the way, it's an unfortunate tag that these guys have landed on Philip here. Because Philip is neither little nor is he a boy.
No, but he did that to himself, eh? That label, he attached it to himself and said, this little black boy from Marshall.
Well, whatever
Yeah?
it is, I think it's very unfortunate because he's not little. I don't consider him little in any regard, and I think boy is a very unfortunate word to use nowadays because it has a certain connotation, especially when it's a context of race and color.
Yeah.
So that is sad, and there are a lot of little black boys in this country. I think that's an unfortunate tag, whoever did it. It obviously has a racial connotation, and that too is sad. But Sarah, I want to
But he did it to him again. I'm stressing to you, he did it to himself, and I think he's referencing Gypsy's song of a few years ago, "Little Black Boy." You okay?
Well, even that Little Black Boy song, if you study it properly, it has a different feel to it. It's more or less telling him, don't feel inferior. Get up there and do things because you can.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that what the message?
Yes, that's what it is.
Exactly. Well, that's not what that's the message is, because Philip J. Pierre, number one, was never a deprived man. Philip J. Pierre never grew up in a poverty-stricken environment. Philip J. Pierre, in his adult life, was always an upstanding citizen, prominent citizen. Am I right or wrong?
You're right. I even heard the guy had a little car going to school at college.
Well, there you go. And Philip J. Pierre was always a professional.
Yeah.
And I've always said that the points that Philip J. Pierre has, that I consider his strength, are the very points others see as weakness. I believe Philip J. Pierre, and this will blow your mind, I believe Philip J. Pierre has a genuine feel for poor people. Perhaps overly so. Perhaps. I'm putting my neck out. I really believe that. But a prime minister's...
Well, Rick, I disagree with you because I cannot
It's
vouch.
all right.
No, hold on. I'm just saying to you, I cannot vouch for any politician. Rick. Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to argue with you on that.
Yeah.
I just happen to know Philip J. Pierre a long time out of politics too, and in a personal capacity. So I don't say that to open an argument. I say I believe that Philip J. Pierre has a genuine feel for poor people to the extent. Philip J. is not a party man, It's very interesting watching him now having to go to all those parties and all those kind of... He's not a party man. He's like me. I don't go to parties.
Okay, Rick, let's put it this way. I don't think you know Philip well enough compared to...
You could be.
Hold on to Philip knowing Philip. So the only guy who can speak with such authority, and I can give credence to this, if Philip can convince me that he is everything that you're saying there.
That's fair enough.
You understand? Right.
That's fair enough, because all I'm giving you is my opinion and experience with him.
Right.
I don't have to agree with his politics while I say that,
Mm-hmm.
because there are a lot of things that have happened under his watch there that I am very dubious about, and a lot of things. And I also know the influence of a cabinet on a prime minister if he is not particularly adamant and strong about what he's doing. Kenny Anthony was no slouch. None. I have attended once or twice cabinet meetings, and I see how he conducts his thing. Nobody moved Kenny. Not even George Odlum. The one guy who probably stood up to Kenny Anthony was Mario.
Mario.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to also remind you, Tim, that when we're talking about VAT, and I'm not any expert on VAT or one way or another, but I will tell you that I recall very, very well how strongly Kenny Anthony and the Labour Party spoke against VAT.
Now this will seem choreographed, but I have a clip of Dr. Kenny Anthony. Just bear with me, and I'll play that clip right now. Dr. Kenny Anthony speaking in May of 2016 on VAT. Let's listen to the clip and let's watch as well.
The economy is in deep recession. It does not need more taxation. It needs stimulation, not strangulation. The spin doctors can spin from now till the cows come home, but the reality is that VAT will impose new areas of taxation on the people of St. Lucia.
So you just heard there.
Well, that's only part of it.
Dr. Kenny Anthony. Now, that's in May of 2016. And then, who introduced VAT? Who introduced VAT? It was Kenny Anthony who introduced VAT.
No, I think the United Workers' Party actually.
No. It was the SLP, but I don't think that clip is of 2016. Might be a lot before that. But anyway, continue.
But I also recall
the
same Labour Party, Kenny, describing that as an oppressive law,
yeah,
anti-worker, and anti-poor. Now, that is the same guy who now tells you, don't be surprised by anything you see in politics. So I want to remind people of those things and put it together, because our country is in shit street, and it ain't turning anymore unless we the people start thinking differently. And this business of trying to cover our sorrows and our and deflecting with all kinds of sets, because Tim, call me whatever name you want. If we are as imaginative and creative as we say we are, if we are a country that can produce per capita Nobel record numbers of Nobel winners, it seems to me that when we are celebrating our ritual sets and whatnot, there should be a different look about it. For the most part, they all look like one thing, Carnival. In my eyes, and perhaps my eyes are wrong, but I express how I feel, and that's how I feel. So whoever wants to argue, they are at liberty to do exactly that. There's another thing I wanted to remind you of. Anyway, it's within the same frame that politicians will say something today, and they will say something tomorrow, and your question, will that impact
an increase in the people?
I give you a resounding no. Resounding no, it will have no impact.
As far as the politics is concerned?
No negative impact on them.
Why?
Good. Because issues don't matter to us. We have gone past that. Issues don't matter. Issues are not discussed. All we have at election time is words, more egregious, and allegations and all that kind of stuff. The facts of things don't matter to us. You yourself said a while ago that we pretend to be well off. I have said over and over, anybody in St. Lucia who is rich in the real sense of the word should be automatically investigated. That has become almost a mantra for me, no?
Yes.
Because St. Lucia is too poor to have really rich people, especially when those rich people have links to politics. We should be investigating those people. We should be investigating, and we have the mechanisms for that, you know. But we have mechanisms by the hundreds in this score, all without teeth. The Integrity Commission is supposed to exist for that purpose, you know, Tim. Have you ever heard anybody openly, publicly, right now, the Caribbean, all over the Caribbean now, you're hearing things about, you're seeing news about customs officials involved in gun running and facilitating people, customs officers getting I think 3 are under arrest or charged with something. We have policemen on murder charges over there. We have all those things. We're not even close to that. We're not even thinking along those lines. It's all I mean, it's almost as if there's an election at the end of the month. What is it that has changed in terms of the issue, well, not issues, the narrative? What is it that has changed? Alan Chastney is this, Alan Chastney is the worst, Alan Chastney is the best, Philip Pierre is this, Philip Pierre is that, Michelle Frederick said this, that is all that's going on. There has been no respite on that, Tim.
Absolutely none. No, none.
So that's it. So who is doing that to us? Is it Kip doing that to us or is Alan? Neither is doing that to us. Neither of them. We're doing it to ourselves because we are a bunch of dumb, I almost use the word and upset your lady.
Yeah.
You know. I don't know. But by the way, it was also said that that VAT was great as an instrument for collecting, the best instrument for collecting taxes. You remember that?
Yes, absolutely.
And a country that lives on taxes alone is a dead country, Tim. Finally, the matter of saying, how much was it that the minister said the government had lost because of that?
I think about $270 million.
270 something million.
Yeah, about that.
Now, since the government didn't get that, where did it go?
Well, I guess it went to Deglo.
No, be serious.
It went to Deglo.
Since the government gets it from one place, Tim,
it went to the people. It went to the people.
It went in the people's
Yeah,
pocket.
yeah, it
So
said to
how
the
can
people.
the people not be benefiting? And don't go and tell me about the people who didn't benefit, are the people, the poorest of the poor who don't have stores and who don't have this and whatever. In one way or another, they pay the price when there's taxes, one way or another. No?
Absolutely.
But Tim, there is no narrative, no discussion going on those things. Everything we talk about is all tied up with campaigning politics. I'm not saying we shouldn't be discussing politics because everything is politics, but not campaigning politics, and we should quit. We should understand by now that when you spit at the sky, the spit will fall back in your face. Thank you.
All right, Rick. Thank you so much. Still to come on the broadcast, we'll be hearing from former Prime Minister Alan Chastney. We'll be hearing from an official of the St. Lucia Fire Service. We have a record number of ambulance calls over the long weekend and a whole lot more. Stay with the broadcast.
Lazarus's Funeral Home is here for you. Lazarus's Private Cemetery offers a peaceful resting place for your loved ones. With tranquil settings, visitation, and reflection, we believe in the compassionate care of all our departed loved ones. Lazarus's Private Cemetery, let us help you create a final resting place. Make it special. Make it Lazarus's Funeral Home, your friend in a time of need. Payment plans are available for tombs. Call us in Vidbuta at 452-7491 or in New Dock Road, VA4, 454-6555.
Night Meds is your dependable neighborhood pharmacy. You'll notice that upon entry, you are greeted by caring professional staff, attentive to your every need. Your prescriptions are always treated with a high degree of confidentiality, and we pride ourselves on providing speedy, efficient service. We carry a wide array commonly requested over-the-counter products, and our prices are very competitive. We offer blood pressure testing, blood sugar, and cholesterol testing. We're open to fill your prescriptions Monday to Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Come visit Sadhu's gas station on the Miku Highway or call us at 572-6840 or WhatsApp 461-6840 for more information. Night Meds Pharmacy. We are your community med store.
Lucilec aveti ou pour point précaution durant saison cyclone ça là. Mi un petit commission qui kaywen de ou protéger la vie ou ek propriétaire ou. Kouye Lucilec avant ou trim et ben couper pied bois qui poué ligne électrique. Veillez pour ligne courant électrique avant ou monter l'échelle. Fait assurer l'échelle, scaffold et bout d'outils ou ka servi pas vini moins qui 10 pieds hors ligne courant électrique. Pas jamais servi appliance et ben outils qui ka servi courant électrique. Des wall côté qui mouillé et ben en la pli. Ça, c'était en commission Hod Lucille.
You know that feeling when you have an uncontrollable desire for fried chicken? That's the KFC. A substance that stimulates your senses to identify the aroma of our secret recipe or an extra crispy crunch from any distance. It's invisible to the naked eye, but you can feel it traveling throughout your body, taking control, all so you can enjoy a juicy bite of KFC. Ignite your senses with KFC.
The biggest party in sport is back for the 10th year of CPL. And the St. Lucia Kings want to go all the way this year. CPL will be bigger, better and louder than ever. And with the return of our very own Johnson Charles to the Kings team. The games are between 7th and 11th of September. Get your tickets now at cplt20.com or at the box office. Join the party. Experience cricket played louder.
In the chat room, somebody says, Compton did not impose VAT on us. The greedy fellas placing their friends and family in jobs need to bleed us to get money to pay them. And so the discussions continue in the chat room. Somebody says, all the hacks not seeing or saying anything about the VAT. Shaking my head. Another comment. If Philip J. Pierre wants to generate more money, I can give him great advice. We are prisoners eating taxpayers' money. Why not put a factory production line in the prison? Okay, another comment. Let me see if I could extract it now from the chat room while we continue to await your calls at 452-2979, 452-2979, your WhatsApp calls and messages, 716-2026, 716-2026. Now, you know, yesterday, Christopher Hunt did call the program and he could just not believe, he was in disbelief as far as the economy growing in 2021 by some 12.2%. Well, the debate continues on Facebook and we have a particular lady who has been taking Christopher Hunt to task, but let's take a call before that. Good afternoon, NewsSpin, you are on the air.
Two-time journalist of the year.
Good afternoon to you, sir.
What's happening?
I'm okay, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to my Barnard Hill and Conway people. Tim, Shazi keep coming on the radio telling people how many schools the SFP built. I would like Shazi to go and look at, get a 1997 telephone directory and he will see what's happening. Another thing, Christopher Hunt. I would like when people like Christopher Hunt and Shazi come on the radio station to walk with the toiletries. Okay? They should walk with the toiletries. Because the great man, Sir Alan Michael Shazi, he batted on a wicket when the ball was swinging. The pitch was bad to him, you know that thing. The pitch was bad and Alan Shazi was out there playing the shot. Good economy by 12.2%. Now the wicket dry out, Tim. The wicket dry out. Akram, beat Akram up, Akram up the ball. And people like Safran Awaz and Dennis Lilly and Jeff Thompson. Alan Shazi beat them off the ball. And he laid the foundation where people like SFP can come in and back and play a shot.
Why do you like those? Why do you call Bermuda? Why do you like those cricket analogies? And especially when it comes to Mr. Shasti, he used to play basketball. I don't know him as a cricketer.
Listen, Alan Shasti is a Conway man, Barnard Hill Conway man, so he played all those sports in the garden. Okay? Alan Shasti played all those sports in the garden. I am saying to you, Tim, that when the great Brian Lara goes out there and the ball swinging, swinging big, 90 degrees, 180 degrees, 90 miles an hour, Brian Lara go there and slam the ball in. And let the rest following behind him go in there and back and score runs. The great man for Alan Michael Shasti dealt with COVID, beat COVID, left, right, and center, grew the economy 12.2%, income the SFP to back, and the crime When the wicked triumphed him, the wicked triumphed, you know. The wicked triumphed him. The wicked triumphed him. The wicked triumphed and everybody, and men took them a shot. And they told me the wicked still bad that they got to raise back. What that tells me? They can't back. They cannot govern. They got to go off the world stage. They got to go off the world stage, Tim. They cannot back. Simple. No, Tim, let me call to you. I remember years ago, the IMF told Barbados that they have to devalue the currency. You remember that?
That's who, under Erskine Sanford?
That's right. Oh, my God. I'm impressed, Timothy. Well, that's what it says. He won Journalist of the Year. Erskine Sanford. And Erskine Sanford being the poorest, the second poorest of Asian leaders. One before we understood. Said, no, you're not devaluing our dollar, man. We ain't doing that. We ain't doing that at all. And they stand firm. And they do the back like Larry Gomes. Nothing here, nothing there, single, 1, 2, you know, nothing wrong to call it like Larry Gomes. You know what I'm saying? Still they get Barbados out of the trenches. Those guys cannot back. SFP cannot back. They cannot play shot. They can't even defend. Look, when you're on the form, you go for the 1s and 2s. They can't even do that. They got to go up the one stage. They're a bunch of jokers, Tim. They're a waste of time. They are a waste of time. They cannot even battle a good wicket. They cannot even battle a good pitch. Tim, that's when they should play the shots, you know. When the great man was batting, the CSA, I'm talking about the CSA. You refuse to take the bonds. You want your cash. The man gave it to you all because you all want to sink the government. But the man can back so good. What class is class? Alan Shasta, the great man, is class. The man batted when all the odds was against him. All the CSA, all government agencies was against him. And come out with a 12.2. 12.2 growth. You tell me you're the greatest player in cricket in the world? Alan Shasta should be the best. Put all those guys in the SLP, all those MPs, including the Speaker and the supporters of the SLP, put them all together. They cannot make one brilliant Alan Shasta. Have a nice day.
Thank you so much. Consistently touting the image of Alan Shastney and describing him as the world's best prime minister. And I dare say that is a significant exaggeration on the part of Mr. Bermuda, but he's being very consistent as far as how he feels about the former St. Lucia prime minister. Let me see if I think I have an email to go through there where somebody is making reference to Sir John Compton and his previous encounter that he had with the International Monetary Fund, because those organizations would formulate prescriptions for some countries, not taking a lot of things into consideration, the culture, the environment, what are some of the issues that, if you take a particular decision, would directly impact the people. So they'll tell you, for example, let us not invest in social programs, and instead let us invest in certain industries and other sectors and so on. And there are some governments, for whatever reason, they seldom like to stand up to the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. They normally like to give in quite quickly and easily to them, but not people like the late Sir John Compton, as we've heard time after time. Somebody says, Alan Shastney was not the first St. Lucian Minister of Finance to challenge the IMF/World Bank economic prescriptions. In 1982, after the Labour Party brought the country to its knees economically, Sir John Compton, in taking office, made a public statement that, quote, St. Lucia was too small for the IMF and myself to reside in, end of quote. A reduction in the income tax rates was implemented during that period, and the economy grew in strides. So there is precedence for the economic strategies that have proven beneficial to the country as a whole, as the leader of the opposition has said. Government must be prudent in its spending, particularly in recurrent expenditure, but must push the economy through capital projects that would generate new employment and increase in private sector resurgence and expansion in order to increase the tax base. Increasing tax rates is only going to suck the money in circulation in the private sector and put it in the control of politicians who usually squander it on dubious projects. That's an email just sent to me. 452-2979, 452-2979. Your WhatsApp calls at 716-2026, and that is 716-2026. Let me see if what's happening in the chat room in terms of your discussions there. Always heated discussions taking place there, and that's why I have to be extremely careful what I extract from the chat room to share with the wider audience. Okay, somebody says there, we were already being warned to eat more fig VAT going up in our backside. St. Lucian, brace yourself. Fig vet without meat, we finish. Okay. We have a call as we say good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin via WhatsApp. You are on the air. Good afternoon.
Afternoon. What I would like to say on the email, I just read there. But Sir John had the banana farmers milking, so he could have taken them stand. After milking the banana farmers, what did he put in place for them?
How did he milk the banana? How did he milk the banana farmers, scholar? Educate us.
By putting different levies, putting levies on us, the road, levies to consider feed the road, 5 cents on every pound of banana. Levies like just go in PG and take money, you know, to construct road in Castries, build Castries. And what did he do for us? Where the NIS he put in pillars for us?
Now hold on. I'm not
going anywhere. I'm there.
Banana farmers did not want any kind of reduction, you know, any kind of monies to be taken from their earnings to put in aside for them, you know. I know that for a fact. The bananas resisted.
You don't know that for any fact.
Caller, the banana farmers resisted that. Okay? They resisted that.
Yeah.
Hello?
I used to be on different boat. I'm listening.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you listening to me?
I'm listening.
On different times you go with John, and he never wanted to do it. He could have taken them up. All right, he could have gone and put levy to construct road. So he couldn't do a levy the same way in order for the farmers to get their pension.
But
he never wanted it.
But we all know in that particular era, we all know the behavior of the banana farmers, caller. Any deductions, caller?
Is not true.
Any deduction.
The one that implemented NIS.
Any deduction from the earnings of the banana farmers would have come with a serious revolt from them.
Without that would be more money in the pocket of the NIS today. Don't tell me farmers was against it. That's not true. That is just make up stories that them fellas was making up.
That is okay. So why didn't caller. So why didn't the farmers take it on their own to make the deductions and forward the contributions to the NIC? Why didn't the farmers do it on their own? They were not progressive. Why didn't the farmers make the deductions and forward the contribution to the NIC?
The SLBGA was a government. They were the ones that put in their chairman there. Okay, is them.
And
the same way that
and even when caller they were privatized, why didn't they do anything about it? Even when they were privatized, why didn't they do anything about it in terms of the deductions from the earnings and forward it to the NIC? Even when they were privatized.
When bananas when it get private, is a lot of confusion that started. That one going that one sliding there, get themselves confused. That is the thing. But in spite of that, had it been in place, they would have definitely had to continue from where they left off. Nothing. The last time The last in 2006 when Sir John was coming back, he had a meeting with us down there at Lakaye, and all that was reasoning. We took a decision. He has made a mistake. He going to treat it well. He passed away. That didn't material.
Hello?
Was against it. That is not true. I'm listening.
Okay. All right, caller. Thank you so much. The caller got it all wrong there. There was an era when banana farmers were very influential in St. Lucia. But banana farmers at that time, they were not realists, and also they were not progressive. I remember, I don't think I was in the media yet, but I could have been, when then Prime Minister John Compton, in an address to the nation, made reference to making some kind of deductions from the earnings of banana farmers, whereby that money would be put into a fund for banana farmers on the island, I think either through the NIC, it was then known as the NIS, or through some special mechanism, so that when those farmers retire, they'll be having a nest egg. They'll have something to fall back on. This was fought. The banana farmers stated vehemently that they were not in support of this because that is their money. And if you understand farmers, I mean, they will not be so sophisticated in putting this across. Banana farmers will tell you, ça c'est l'argent moi, et puis ma vle Compton toucher l'argent ça. Ça pas l'argent Compton. Compton pas travail pour ça. Compton pas ça dit nous ça pour faire et puis l'argent nous. And that is why many sections of the society would say very often at that time that banana farmers are always calling for some kind of assistance. They are always calling for special arrangements or preferential treatment, etc. But what they were contributing directly towards their own welfare, towards their own future, they always resisted any attempt to make deductions and also to ensure that those were put on aside, so that when they retire, they will have something to take care of themselves and their family. We have a call. Good afternoon. NewsSpin, you're on the air.
Timothy, I was disgusted with that last caller day. When he's saying that Compton married the family. If you really check Compton now and his family, the people are broke, you know, Timothy. You can see that those people are broke. Compton never milked no country, no farmers. Compton put money in farmers' pocket. Where that fella from mine. For you know, disrespect the man, so how the man milk the bananas family. They was not, the farmers was not together. They was not together. Because number one, they didn't want to deduct any money from earnings for NIC. They did not want to do it. They go, especially when the SLP was even was against that. Passing how Compton going to take your money, they're against that. They was against that. And today, before they start campaigning for general election, the eyes already on NIC because they go in there and take hand and borrow how many millions, take how many millions. When they was against that, and not only that, a lot of the major things that happened in St. Lucia, SLP was against it. They was against it, and that is clear. Anybody can understand that. Thank you.
All right, caller. Thank you so much. We have a WhatsApp call as we say hello and good afternoon. This is NewsSpin. Hello. Good afternoon to you, caller.
Good afternoon.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon to you.
Your caller before the last, he has no idea about banana farmers and the history of John Compton with banana farmers. Because the same levy he's talking about Compton put on farmers, what it was to do to him. You don't see the amount of feeder roads John Compton built to help farmers transport their bananas, Tim. John Compton went all out to make sure banana farmers had everything in place. And he talking about Compton never put anything. So when they started the SLBG, why didn't they come together and put things in place for them? Why didn't the Banana Salvation Committee get them to pay NIS and thing? Because they said the farmers, and that's true, Tim, the farmers said that they don't want no deduction from their money. So that caller calling then saying about Compton milk farmers, he's been ridiculous. You see, politics have them. Now I don't blame him, because these are the things that the Labour Party was spreading about Sir John. All the negative things, they all of a sudden now Sir John is the best thing for them, and Sir John's family is the best thing. And Sir John's family now is bowing to the Labour Party. After what Labour Party put Sir John and his family through. You understand? And this is the thing. This is the rhetoric that the Labour Party has been spreading. This is why that man called and talk all that nonsense he talked there. He has no idea what he's talking about, Sir John Milk, the banana farmers. Go around places in the banana belt and see the farmers, see all their big houses, all their children went to university. Most of them have their vehicles, everybody doing well. So how's Sir John Milk banana farmers? That guy needs to, if he doesn't know what he's talking about, don't call the radio station and talk nonsense. You hear me? Thank you, Tim.
All right, thanks. I think we have another WhatsApp message. Let me see if I could get this call on the air as we say hello and good afternoon. NewsSpin, you are on the air. Hello?
Yes, good afternoon.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon to you.
Yes, Tim. I'm just calling in regard of the farmer who spoke. I just want to tell the farmer to go and speak to Pat Joseph, and he will know exactly what went wrong with the money, and stop blaming John Compton for the money. I remember I was a little girl when Sir John wanted to have the farmers to pay the money to the NIC, and they did not want to do that. Exactly what you said. The farmers said, do not touch our money. And today he wants to blame John Compton because they have nothing to stand on. Tell him go and speak to Pat Joseph. Goodbye.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. We have another call online as we say hello and good afternoon. This is NewsSpin. You are on the air. Hello, good afternoon. Hello? Hello? All right, we lost that call. But continue to call us, 452-2979, 452-2979. Your WhatsApp calls and messages, 716-2026, 716-2026. And I don't think there's one thing that you can blame Sir John Compton as far as wanting to uplift the banana farmers in St. Lucia. And he was a forward thinker. But, for banana farmers at the time, they wanted to hold on to all of their resources. And it happens to people very often, people who are short-sighted, because they believe that green gold would exist forever. And they also believed at the time that they would be remaining at a particular age to continue to be productive for an eternity. But Sir John Compton knew better. Good afternoon. NewsSpin, you're on the air.
Good afternoon.
Hi. Good afternoon to you, caller.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir.
Radio, yeah, I'm listening about the banana argument issue regards to Sir John and the Labour Party. The demise of the banana industry, having been an active participant from the UK, from the marketing intelligence and marketing side, I think we need to go and delve into the Chief Executive Officer, Bernard Cornbert. Why? The profit margins that Geese were making under the different political parties, that margin was not passed on to our banana farmers. So much so that in the 90s, late 90s, we see the dilapidation of the banana sector. When you do a comparable analysis of Martinique, where you got the French government participating, so you go to the banana stations, they have all the modern infrastructure, where ours is seen as a Malaway poor, because the margins was not passed on. It was actually kept within Wibdeco, Winban, and the actual spin-off companies, where now in 2022 we're struggling to get into the banana sector. I worked in the marketing side, right, which was the customer end of the business, right? The bananas in the UK, okay, our actual costs were much higher than the South American dollar fruit. But on quality, branding, and taste, our bananas was far superior. So I did actual empirical studies where I actually went to the major supermarkets, the 5 major supermarkets, and actually done empirical tests. And it came out that the consumers preferred the Windward Island bananas. However, the intransigence of Bernard Cornbet, who was an economist or purportedly, decimated the banana industry because at the negotiating table with the actual buyers of our bananas, we were tied. So yes, part of the blame is to do with Sir John because he should have had an active part to observe the role of Bernard Cornbet in the UK, and he actually created a monster. Now we see in 2022, how do we resuscitate the banana sector when a lot of the land has become arable? How do we stimulate young farmers to see it as a profitable end? There was a caller who said that most of the banana farmers live in mansions, big houses, etc. This person is very naive because if she travels around the island, she would see this is just a juxtaposition. Because what was happening?
No, but caller, the banana farmers were doing very well, all right, during the green gold era. I mean, and that is a well documented, caller, to the extent that people are saying that farmers engaged in banana farmers in particular engaged in a lot of wastage. They were not wise in terms of their spending and in terms of their the investments that they made. They were not looking forward thinkers in terms of preparing themselves for the future, because the impression has been given that green gold would last forever, and that clearly is not the case.
Yeah, but can I interject?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I interject and say that bananas, after confectionery, in the UK and possibly in Europe is the number one food or fruit snack. Now everyone's turning towards organics and healthy eating. We never had no sustainable plan. And therefore I have to put the blame on Sir John for allowing Bernard Cornbet not to have no succession planning, no strategy to see us in 2025. We should have had a business strategy for bananas and its actual diversification. Now we see other territories. We see the African states under the Lomé Convention actually penetrating into the UK market in Europe, while we are now fledgling. And it's all to do with economics. It's all to do with nepotism and patronage. There's too much of that in the industry. We need to put politics aside and look for the betterment of St. Lucia, which is that we need to stimulate this cash crop. We have to stimulate this cash crop.
Okay, caller. Thank you so much for your contribution, sir. All right, 452-2979, 452-2979, WhatsApp calls and messages, 716-2026. Let me see if I have any of your messages. What are you discussing in the chat room that I could share with my audience? Somebody says there. Okay, that's this thing about Sir John Compton should have done more, maybe to have greater sway over WIPDECO, etc. We all know that WIPDECO was in existence and it serviced the operations of banana entities, not only in St. Lucia but the Windward Islands. It just happened that St. Lucia was the largest producer of bananas for export to Europe. So he, even being at the helm, would have been the work of the various leaders in the Windward Islands and not any one particular individual, because you had directors representing the various governments of the Windwards. We have a call. Good afternoon. Thanks for holding on. You're on the air.
Good afternoon.
Hi. Good afternoon, caller.
Timothy.
Yes, sir. This is NewsSpin and you're on the air.
I'm speaking from Forestier.
Yes, sir. Thanks for calling.
That is, as you on Papa last affaire and John Compton Levistic.
Oui, Nakoto.
Bon, nga bay Jean Mikou tout l'homme là. Parce que monsieur Compton depuis on meeting Mikou bon pont. Ou dit nous ça venir meeting moi la meeting ça là.
Qui l'année?
Monsieur Compton dit comme ça, il a pris 4 $4 chaque mois pour faire NAS bayo.
Oui.
Jean Mikou dit monsieur Compton, si je jamais fait ça, il y a aucun vote contre lui. Monsieur Compton dit comme ça, ben si aucun vote contre moi, bah il fait ça encore parce que si moi fais ça, bah le gouvernement encore je vote contre moi. So c'était le pot et puis flotte Mikou qui dit c'est mon pour dit Compton ça.
Qui l'année ça t'est?
So c'est ça qui fait que M. Campton pas fait rien par les femmes. C'est les femmes même qui cause M. Campton pas fait rien par eux, parce qu'ils sont allés contre ça.
Est-ce qu'on a changé? Est-ce qu'on a changé l'année?
Pas bon.
Ok.
Mais c'est le pot et puis flotte, il faut que c'est on a pour 10 Campton, pas bon, parce que c'est pas contre lui.
Ok, quoi
Parce que comme ça, la sortie, c'est M. Campton qui fait mettre dans nous, pas pour un micro, pour dire pour 4 9 par dollar. Ça déjà pour il baille après le dia fait après la chimie baille femme.
Oui.
Pas pour la race mon encore. Qui soit c'est ça qui c'est pas même qui parler contre pour barrer ça, c'est pas comme une pièce comme une pièce dans ça.
Ok.
Yes.
All right. Merci pour couiller. Who ka koute hard forestier actuellement. Let me see if we have a WhatsApp message. It has always been clear that the banana farmers were good at farming and not economics. They didn't have any vision of what their tomorrow would be like without a nest egg, which is what Compton wanted for them. Somebody says, that same person says, Compton did the best he could, but the farmers themselves had to take their future into their own hands to ensure their future prosperity. Good afternoon, NewsSpin. You are on the air.
Timothy, pleasant good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you, caller.
Good afternoon to your listeners and your international listeners all over the world. PW on the line here. Timothy, you know, I've been listening to your program for the last few minutes, and a lot of people, you know, tend to forget that our 43rd year of independence, that John Compton wasn't the Prime Minister for 43 years. The St. Lucia Labour Party also had their part to play with the banana industry. You know, so when people call and say John Compton didn't do this, John Compton didn't do that, what about the administration at the moment, the St. Lucia Labour Party? You understand? They were one of the parties that actually were very adamant, you understand, when John Compton tried to put the farmers in a position of security. And I can tell you that. Even the St. Lucia Bananas Growers Association, these associations, as far as I know, you know and I know, you understand, we may not have the evidence, but there were vast corruption taking place at the St. Lucia Bananas Growers Association. We all know that. And the farmers were brainwashed.
Well, Cole, I don't know about the corruption you're making reference to,
You understand?
but questions were being asked and allegations were being made at the time.
You know, we all know that, Timothy. So when this guy comes in and he wants to blame John Compton for the demise of the banana industry, Timothy, he needs to think about not only John Compton was in office during the gold era of the banana industry. This is what I have to say for this afternoon. And farmers need to wake up, you understand, because they are also the fault of their own demise. This is why, apart from market trend, this is why we have a banana industry at the moment that is failing. I thank you, Timothy.
Thank you so much. Unfortunately, the politicians are no longer fighting over banana farmers in St. Lucia, primarily because the sector is no longer in a buoyant and profitable state as it was, let's say a decade and a half ago. So the politicians now are focusing on other sections of the society that they could benefit from and they can try to influence so that they can win elections and things of that nature. So the banana farmers, unfortunately, because of the dwindling numbers, they mean absolutely nothing to our politicians right now. But remember the days when they were fighting for their votes. They meant a whole lot to either SLP or UWP, etc., or people who wanted to enter the political arena, who would normally come from those farming communities, people of influence, people who had support among farmers, people who could have definitely capitalized on, let's be frank, the influence, or not the influence, but the ignorance of banana farmers as well as their vulnerability. When we come back in just a moment, somebody is taking Christopher Hunt to task. Stay with us. You're watching and listening to NewsSpin. We are on Power 97.9 FM as well as on Facebook and YouTube.
Exceeding your expectations is what we strive for at Lazarus Funeral Home. Losing a loved one isn't something you can foresee. Since the beginning, affordability has been one of our priorities. Every day we're proving that burials don't have to be expensive. If cost is a factor in your time of bereavement, call Lazarus Funeral Home. We have coffins starting at $800 plus taxes. Nothing can cause more disappointment than poor quality. Help us help you keep your last memory of your loved one sacred. Make it special. Make it Lazarus Funeral Home, your friend in a time of need. Located at Bibliotheque Castries at 452-7491 and New Dock Road, V4 at 454-6555.
Contact Lucelec before trimming or cutting down trees that are near overhead electrical wires. Watch out for power lines before you begin working on a ladder. Be sure that ladders or scaffolds are far enough away so that you and the ends of the tools you're using don't come within 10 feet of power lines. And never use any electrical appliance in wet surrounding outdoors or in the rain.
This message is brought to you by Lucelec, the power of care.
Good life is what I say, makes me happy every day. Good mood is all I need, it makes me happy, yes indeed. Got fun, love, family, community, great food from KFC.
Serving great tasting chicken for generations. KFC.
It's good, it's finger licking good. It's good, it's finger licking good.
Great food anytime at KFC. It's finger licking good.
I heard Christopher Hunt call into Tim's show to basically in disbelief that St. Lucia's economy grew by 12.2% in 2021. In utter disbelief. And he was arguing with Tim. He couldn't fathom why St. Lucia's economy was able to grow by 12.2% in 2021. And he kept saying 2020. Well, I don't know where Christopher Hunt got that 2020 from, because nobody ever said it was 2020. Every report, including the IMF, has said St. Lucia's economy grew by 12.2% in 2021. Nobody said 2020. Christopher Hunt is arguing something nobody ever said. And Tim should have corrected him, but I guess Tim didn't have the information. But anyway, for somebody who had his own talk show, they were quick to go all over the place to do all kind of research. It's crazy to me how Christopher Hunt didn't do a simple Google search to see the facts that the IMF has said that St. Lucia's economy grew by 12.2% in 2021. And he's arguing with Tim that this is so, he can't fathom it. But let me explain to Christopher Hunt why the economy grew by 12.2% in 2021, since he doesn't get it. Because you see, these guys, and I'm responding because these guys played such intellectual dishonesty when they were in opposition. Every day bombarding the St. Lucian population with false narratives that they bought into, and now they're in government and they cannot govern. Now Labour Party is in government and they cannot govern. They're looking for all excuses under the sun to do what they want to do, including increasing VAT, which is exactly where they're going. So I want your St. Lucians to open your eyes and see exactly what they're intending to do. They're intending to increase VAT and they're making a case for it. So Christopher Hunt, let me explain to you why the economy grew by 12.2% in 2021. And it's not a surprise. Chasney told us it was going to grow but he projected exactly that the economy was going to grow in 2021. And you know why? Because Chasney understands how to run a country and how to run an economy. He's not running the economy based on just random things. There is a methodology to how you ran the country and to economics. Chasney understands economics, unlike the guys you have there who claim they're economists, and I cannot see one shred of anything to show that they have any understanding of economics. Chasney, it was strategic even during the midst of COVID, even before COVID. Chasney understood how he was running the economy, how he was positioning the economy. But in the midst of COVID, when you guys, Christopher Hunt, like you, were beating pan all over the place and saying, demanding that Chas shut down the country, because y'all knew fully well the impact it would have had on the country and the economy and the unemployment crisis. You all knew fully well that it would have been a disaster if Shas had shut down the country. But y'all know y'all were dishonest to St. Lucians. Y'all were dishonest. Y'all said, oh, Shas does not care about the lives of St. Lucians. All he cares about is money. That's what y'all said. But here's what Shas said. Shas said, COVID will not last forever. Yes, we are in the midst of a global pandemic and we have to protect lives, but we also have to protect livelihoods. We have to manage COVID with protocols, but we have to keep the economy open. You guys were beating pans, you were making noise, you were confusing the electorate, you were confusing St. Lucians, you were lying, you were dishonest, you wanted to see a country suffer and bleed, knowing fully well what it would be, the economic pain and the pain to the ordinary St. Lucian if Shasni had shut down the country.
Just extracted a few minutes from a contribution made on Facebook, I think it was yesterday, by supporter of the United Workers' Party, Minerva Ward, and she is just reacting to the contribution that was made yesterday by another supporter, this time a supporter of the St. Lucia Labour Party, Mr. Christopher Hunt. 452-2979, 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages, 716-2026. Somebody says that, Tim, why is St. Vincent passport cost $100 for under 16 and $200 for 16 and over, and the St. Lucian passport cost $250? And you're lucky if you can be accommodated at the immigration department, successfully get your passport and head out, because these days it's a major headache going to that department. And I'm sure that many of you not only would need a passport to travel, but also as a form of identification, because most instances you need two forms of ID, your national ID card, and you can either use your driver's license or you can use the passport. We have a call on WhatsApp as we say hello and good afternoon. Let's take a quick contribution. Hello.
Being at the head of the banana thing. As far as I know, Tim, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't it the hello?
Yes, call. I'm listening.
Yes. Isn't it the whole, like the Windward Islands with DECO or whatever organization were all instrumental in appointing Bernard Conibot?
Yes, and that's what I said earlier on. You had a number of banana producing countries.
Why he wants he's blaming Sir John for putting Bernard Conibot? And even after that, Labour Party came into power, they never did anything about it, because it wasn't solely Sir John Compton. It was all the islands together. So when these guys call it, they want to think they're so in authority to talk on things. You know, sometimes they talk. That man was being ridiculous. He emphasizing on he wants to blame Sir John for having Bernard Conibot at the head of the banana. Please, Tim,
yeah.
These guys, you see, sometimes you see education. Sometimes those of us who are more educated, we're more fools. Thank you, Tim.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing your point of view with us. We can all, from time to time, disagree with each other, caller. All right? And those things do happen. That is why life is so exciting. We are not individuals who can be influenced easily, and that is a good thing. Okay? We have a mind of our own, and therefore we can agree to disagree. Good afternoon, NewsSpin. You are on the air.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon, Mr. Poleon.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon to you, caller.
How was your emancipation?
Very good. And yours?
You felt emancipated?
And yours?
Well, I didn't feel emancipated.
Oh, you don't feel emancipated? Okay.
No. In the Prime Minister's speech, he spoke about celebrating the victory of our ancestors over the system that enslaved them. Tim, isn't the same system enslaving us right now? Taxation?
Yeah.
And the people like the IMF and World Bank and all of these people who make these recommendations to us, who are they? And they're the same colonial masters? Or maybe their own shares, you know, maybe it's different colonial masters now. We have to deal with the banks as kings now. So where are we going as a nation if we want to celebrate something? And for 43 years, all we're doing is borrowing. How much are we at now, Mr. Polio, if you remember?
We are at least over $4 billion.
Okay, and how are we going to pay that back? Well, you know, there's a famous proverb that says that the borrower will become slave to the lender. I just hope that in the future, all the people who worship Alan Chasney and Philip J. Pierre, either side of the fence, I just hope that these people can, allow these people to pay for all of these loans that they take, because they say they take the loans on our behalf, but we're the ones who left to pay the loans without any form of, assets. Look, we're still talking about after 43 years, and we're talking about coming out of colonialism and emancipating from slavery and all of these things. We're still talking about growing stuff in St. Lucia and shipping it to the same people that started it in the first place.
But caller, if we don't
So
borrow,
how are we going to get out of the rut?
what is the alternative, caller? If we cannot borrow right now, what's the alternative? Because that is the impression we're getting from our politicians.
That is what they're trying to portray.
They cannot be creative.
They portray us as beggars, but yet still they tax us. And a lot of companies come from overseas and they make a lot of money in St. Lucia. You can't make money from a poor country. So the thing is that we're not doing it correctly. Even our government system, it does not serve us. This Westminster system is another form of colonialism. Even the churches that we have here took part in slavery, and they're still running the show. So all I'm saying is that we're going to continue talking, and nothing is going to happen, and we're going to be listening to all of these nice speeches and thinking that we're going to be emancipated, but at the end of the day, we're all going around. Good afternoon, Mr.
All right. Same to you, caller. Good afternoon to you. We need to take some drastic measures that will move us out of this rut that we are in right now. But in the interim, we continue to do the same things and expecting different results, whether it is this administration or the previous one. They are not deviating from each other in terms of some of the prescriptions that they are offering for our many problems. Good afternoon, NewsSpin. You are on the air.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon to you.
How are you doing, man?
I'm okay. How about you?
All right.
Mm-hmm.
The caller a while ago mentioned about borrowing. Now, in times of Compton, the economy was doing well. He still borrowed, there's nothing wrong in borrowing. But the problem is, when you borrow, you have to pay back. Now, the way you pay back is you have to get up and go and work to pay back the loan.
Mm-hmm.
That is what was being done when Compton was running the government. You see, the banana farmers, they took their inputs on credit. When they sold the bananas, a deduction was made and they paid back. But with this government right now, you see any sign of work in these fellas? There were a number of projects going on that was stopped. Now the country is at a standstill. What is needed is that people and the government need to take a lead and start working. Now in years past, we had an old airport at Viewfort, in around 1973, there was an old terminal. John Compton realized that we needed to develop the country, especially the tourist sector. So he built the airport, and the airport didn't take years, It took about a year and a half and it was constructed. When he realized that we needed to connect Viewfort, the airport, where the planes will land in there, to Castries to develop the tourism sector, there was a company called, I forget the company, an English company. And they brought in those guys, and the road started in 1973. Within 2 years, the entire road from Viewfort to Castries was paved, marked. By December 1975, the road was open. Now, these are the kind of people we need to develop the country. People who would talk, who sit down, discuss what we're going to do, and start working. But these guys we have there's nothing such as working those guys. Lazy fellas. It's time they get up and start working. This is the kind of thing we need to happen in St. Lucia. There is nothing wrong in borrowing. As long as you can pay back, you must get up and work to pay back what you loan from. There's nothing wrong in that.
Okay, caller.
Have a good day.
All right, thank you so much. You as well. I think we have a WhatsApp call. Let's try to put this call on the air as we say hello. Good afternoon, NewsSpin. You are on the air. Yes, good afternoon to you, caller.
Good afternoon, Timothy. How you doing?
I'm okay, sir. What prediction you have for me today?
Timothy.
What prediction you have for me?
No predictions.
Okay.
No predictions.
Mm.
Timothy, we elect governments, we elect administrations to improve our lives. But it seems like they are making it a little worse for us. We change administrations just to get a better life in St. Lucia. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that anymore. What I'm saying, Timothy, we increase bus fare. The price of passports has increased, even though it's drafted by the previous administration. But we can also use our discretion. And now we're prepared to increase VAT. What else, Timothy? As we always say, governments are not creating anything at all, but just to tax our people. It's already hard in St. Lucia already. And we elect governments, we elect prime ministers to create change in our lives. Unfortunately, that's not the case at all. And I cannot say that let us wait for 2 or 3 more years and you see a change. Because when we wait for 2 or 3 more years of the change, Timothy, it looks like it get worse because more taxing is coming.
Well,
what I'm saying doesn't matter if it is about tithe. It was 5 cents we were getting on the decrease of the tax of the VAT. It was helping us a bit. We cannot go back and put that 5% back. You were saying something, sir?
What I'm saying to you is that the Prime Minister has not said that he will be increasing VAT. He said he'll be reviewing it.
All indications says that it's going to do. That's how it starts, Timothy. Trust me, it's going to be increased. But did they not say in the campaign that they will not going to increase VAT? Or they're going to decrease it more?
But caller, that will be.
I thought I heard all of that.
He will face a major fallout, if he decides and if he increases the VAT from 12.5%.
I believe those guys who those administrations come inside of there just to note on record on high side that they were elected and they won for at least 1 term. Because I always tell you, Timothy, we're only going to have a 1-term government until our ministers, our prime ministers, our members of parliament went for public office. If their mindset don't change, and that's exactly what's going to happen. The predictions that I could steadily say is that it's not looking well at all. It's not looking well for the governing party. I could tell you that. But if it continues in that manner, Timothy, I'm no other choice but to tell you that it's not going to be good in the next additional 4 more years again.
Let's wait and see what happens, Gola.
You say that, Timothy, we're going to wait and see what happens. We wait and see, and we change the other one, and what happens? The same thing transpired. This is that's what I can't understand with administrations. St. Lucia, from the time I know myself, Timothy, as a young man growing up, governments of St. Lucia has never invested in the human resources of the people. They never invested in sports. Look at how greedy they were invested in sports, in the youths. Look at a simple thing of uniforms for the young lady. They cannot get that together. And the lady is doing well now. Simple little things to help our sports, our youth, is not being done. They invest in, Timothy? They invest in projects, in investments where at the end of it, when they get the kickbacks, and that's what they invest in, because they know they're going to get and they're going to have a nice retirement. Philip J. Pierre has a double retirement coming. He knows that. 30 years as a parliamentary for Cassis. Mind you, that's why I vote. Anyway, Timothy, thanks, man, for your time.
All right, thank you so much for calling, sir. All right, let me turn my attention now to the NewsSpin News of the Day. This one is a weird one. Our NewsSpin News of the Day. 18 Scorpions tow away from Croatia to Austria in woman's suitcase. 18 Scorpions stow away from Croatia to Austria in woman's suitcase. Our NewsSpin News of the Day, and of course you could always Google this story and you'll be getting additional information. NewsSpin News of the Day: 18 scorpions stowed away from Croatia to Austria in woman's suitcase. And now let's hear from the leader of the parliamentary opposition. I spoke with him last week, Friday. Mr. Alan Chasney, defending his decision to reduce VAT from 15 to 12.5%.
When I listened to Richard Frederick trying to justify increasing the VAT rate back up to 15% and suggesting that the government itself had lost $250 million, is a joke. The reality is government's revenue went up. And even if he wants to say $250 million, that's $250 million. Where would that money have come from? It comes from the individual taxpayers, businesses and households and individuals. So it means that you would have taken away $250 million from the hands of the economy and put it into the hands of government. And that is crazy. So the reality is that I believe that the VAT rate needs to come down. That we need to be an attractive place and where people want to pay their taxes. Because that was another thing that happened. The moment we started lowering the tax rate, compliance with taxes got better. And so if you can spread it so people feel right about paying taxes because they think it's a fair tax.
So Mr. Chasney,
did not seem fair.
So Mr. Chasney, you're saying that the governor of the ECCB is suggesting that the government should review the tax rate, and obviously I think he's suggesting it should be increased because it's saying it's just about the lowest in the Caribbean. Do you believe that the government of Philip J. Pierre should review the tax rate and increase it, the VAT rate?
No.
On what basis? Because as you said earlier on, so that the IMF recommended you do not review it downward. The World Bank also suggested that you should not have reduced it. And now the governor of the ECCB is suggesting that it should be reviewed.
And I disagree with them. And you know, that's the when you have to understand your own economy and take accountability for it. The reality is that our economy is not performing at its potential. And so to me, increased government revenues has to come from increased activities. And this is the difference between what you think is entitled to you versus what you think that you can earn. So the investment in infrastructure, the hesitation on this government to continue to pursue an agenda of ambition, building the airport, fixing up the roads, building the cruise ship port facility in the south, getting those things done, getting more tourism investment, getting more diversification in our economy. It's about increasing economic activity. That economic activity is going to create more jobs, is going to have more money in circulation, and the more that people are consuming, the more taxes that government is going to earn. We are in a small economy, and the choices that we have for investment is limited. And we have to make sure that whatever macro policies that we're going to have do not find themselves in conflict with what we're trying to do on the micro level. And so we are an export-led country. By increasing taxes, you're making yourself less competitive.
Former St. Lucia Prime Minister Alan Chasney speaking on NewsSpin on July 29th, 2022. And as a broadcast, thank you so much for watching on Facebook as well as on YouTube and listening to the program on Power 97.9. Thank you so much for your many contributions in the chat room as well as your many calls. Join me same time tomorrow afternoon, God willing, 12:30 for another broadcast. Coming up next, we have a news update to be followed by the Power Drive.